What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Today we're working on my terminal emulator. His name is Termi. We're on, I think, day 3 or 4. I think day 4 of this project, and we've made some pretty good progress. I start this guy up. He's running bash. I can do, your typical ls. And that's really it, really. Like, to be honest, we, start up a terminal. We open our GUI application, we ask Linux, hey Linux, could you give me a terminal handle, please? Where terminal handle is this PTY device, they call it, which I think stands for pseudo terminal, which exists because once upon a time, if I understand history correctly, I'm not 100% about this. Once upon a time, you had your little terminal over here, right? Physical monitor, and he's got his little keyboard. Right, boom, 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 boom. This is kind of what a keyboard looks like. And then you had computer, mainframe. I don't know what the fuck they called it back then. And you had a wire going here, right? And so when you typed on this thing, he would be sending stuff over. But it's not like it is today where we have a keyboard driver on the computer and he's processing input, whatever. All the input processing is actually done over here. And so when he says hey, I want to write the character 4, the character 4 is sent over this line. And then he's oh, I'll put that in my shell, and the character 4 is sent back. Which is fine. But then, the keyboard moves over here, the monitor moves over here, and basically now we have this concept of a terminal emulator, and this is why they're called emulators, is because we're actually fucking pretending we're this guy, which is crazy. But history, you end up in a certain state. So what happens now is if you were to imagine the software of this scenario, say this box is running Linux, right? He's gonna have a kernel driver in here that's gonna have he's gonna have a serial driver that's talking to this guy. So he's gonna be uart, and they're gonna hand that uart to a TTY driver, which tracks some other stuff. I don't know exactly what it does yet. That's part of why we're writing this, is because I want to learn what the fuck this guy's job is. I don't really fully understand that. But then, you have uart is looking at this line, and then we parse the uart, we do our stuff, and we send it back over. And now we're well, we don't have this uart line anymore. He's gone. We have software now. Software is pretty cool. And so instead they make this pseudo terminal device that essentially acts like this, but with a pair of file descriptors. So I have a handle that I just write stuff into, and my emulator reads one side of the line and then writes stuff back out, and then the emulator, or then the shell doesn't understand the difference between running on this real TTY or pseudo one. He's just oh, TTY, I will do TTY stuff now. And so the emulator just has to pretend that he's one of those. So that's where we're at right now. We have this thing, we have file handles, and we've implemented a little bit of control code stuff. So if you wanted to write something in red on your screen here, you're wow. Since you don't really have anything but this one serial line that goes back and forth that is your data transmission, what they do, instead of saying hey computer, if you had a third line here, you could be here's the message, it's set this stuff to red. But that's not what's happening. Instead what happens is on the data line they just go hex 1b, and then 31 means red, and then I'll write an M, and this M means parse this 31 as red. So they put basically inline data that with this escape code to say do something else, please. And so we've implemented some of that. So we have we can't backspace here, so if I ever type something and then I don't want it there, I have to actually just hope that it's not a command that's gonna fuck something up. But if we type clear, that parses a command that says set the cursor to the top left, and then delete everything after it. And we do that, and if we do git fuck. Oh god. Clear. Clear. There we go. Pager equals cat git log dash n1. We also have color here, so we can see this is yellow, blue, cyan, red, green, and then this head is actually bolded, so we're also changing the font based off of if they ask for that. And that's current state. And what we wanted to work on is if I type less, the pager command, if I go less source main, I'm supposed to get this view of something. Maybe a better example would be source terminal emulator mod, right? We have a fancy little UI here, but this is every time that I scroll in this, it's actually resetting the cursor to the top left, rewriting all the lines, blah blah blah. And if I do this in my terminal emulator, and if I go like less source main, last time he crashed. I actually don't know. Oh, probably because, hold on. If I type clear, then I less source main.rs. Then he crashes. Because what happens is, he says, like, move the cursor to this position in our buffer, in screen space. He says, move the cursor to row 40, say. And he, like, tries to write something there. And our buffer doesn't have any data at 40, so he goes like, fuck, I can't write there, and he just, like, blows up. And so what we're working on is we're trying to say, well, how do we make sure that it like auto expands in that case? And we tried this yesterday, and we tried implementing a bit of a, we tried to make like a 2D buffer essentially. And we tried to say like, well, when we get the text like ASDF, we'll write that like ASDF right here, easy, right? But then we're like, okay, so what happens if somebody tries to write like here? And so we're like, okay, so you write like AS, and then you have to like wrap DF. Okay, sure. And then what happens if they write it at the bottom? Well, you have to write like AS, and then you actually have to like write DF down here, delete this line, and then scroll back like this. And we were kind of struggling with that a little bit because we kind of like iteratively got there, and it wasn't really clear. Like I didn't have it like solidified in my head, like when should we be scrolling, when should we be not scrolling. We were trying to write tests for all this, and it wasn't really working. And then the kicker here is that I figured out today that if okay, so when I resize this guy, you'll kind of notice that it's wrapping text here, and then unwrapping it when I expand, which means that like this idea of taking the data and like putting it in this canvas and then forgetting about the original stuff is like incorrect. We actually need to remember where the new lines actually are. And then what happens here is that like we have to every time we resize the window, kind of like reset the canvas, I guess. And you can kind of like prove this is how it works. If I go like this, so I say like echo -e, and I say like, please send the cursor with this like super secret escape code. Set the cursor to like maybe like column, here, we'll say like row 10, column 15. Where does that go? Okay, so that sets it like over here. Now, and then I want to say like maybe like echo, like write the words like hello stream after that. So we end up with this like hello stream inlined inside these like previous logs. And if I like resize, the hello stream is like inlined in there and is like correctly resizing along with it. So like where the cursor goes is kind of like defined by the current render of the buffer, but the data doesn't get set in like this like 2D grid space of the buffer. The data actually gets set back in this like line by line buffer fed data, or whatever you want to call it. Like, you know, it like you have like ASDF and then like \n ASDF. And if I like try to write something over top of this ASDF, as it would be, this would render like ASDF. And if I try to like write something here, it's like actually overwriting here in the buffer. And an important distinction here is if I want to write something here, that means that what we have to do is we have to actually like take this spot and like expand it out so that there's enough room to write the stuff over there, if that makes sense. So the approach yesterday of like pre-rendering into this buffer was like kind of wrong. What we kind of want to do is we kind of want to find, well, where are the start of each line? And then if we were going to try to like write some extra, if we try to write somewhere that doesn't exist, we have to pad it correctly. And so if we want to pad in Y, I think we want to just like insert new lines until we have a Y location to write to. And if we want to write next, we have to just pad with spaces, I think. So I think we're gonna try that approach today, and hopefully, with that knowledge, one, we won't be like so lost on requirements, and hopefully that will make the implementation kind of like smoother, and yeah, hopefully that's fine. So we're kind of starting from where we were yesterday, and I think we want to just go and we're not actually, sorry, git checkout whip. And we were where we were yesterday, and I think we kind of want to like start with like the infrastructure that we had there before, but kind of swap out the data. So we were implementing this like canvas type, and we were treating this guy as 2D grid, that is a circular buffer. And then we were trying to like update the circular buffer line by line. I think we're just not going to do that. Okay, we're just going to say, here's our buffer, and here is the width and height of the canvas. All we care about. So before we were like pre-allocating the buffer with a bunch of spaces. Fuck that noise. We don't do that. And oh, another constraint that I forgot to mention just now was that if I start a new terminal, when I like do stuff here, right, I type like ls, no scrolling is happening, right? Like I'm starting at the top and I'm working my way to the bottom. But eventually I get to the bottom, and when I type ls here, now the stuff at the top is getting like pushed off. And so we were also struggling with handling that yesterday. But again, this scheme makes it really easy because now we just append the text to the end of the buffer. Or if we're not at the end of the buffer, we just overwrite the text that exists. And hopefully if we do this right, then like the scrolling will come like for free almost, I think. We'll see. I'm just going to delete like this whole insert line function because when like actually the whole, I'm going to delete all, maybe like everything here. Insert data, because the approach is completely different now. And all of this, like cursor, all of this is different now. But I do like the concept that we had before, that was we were going to output when we ask this like tracker of state, whatever, for the output, we want to make sure that the output is lined up with the UI. So we don't want to trust the UI code to like put the new lines in the right spot and make it match up perfectly. Instead, what we'll do is we will batch our things by lines ourselves and hand it back to them. So I'm still okay with this, but we still need to maybe, we will need to implement this differently. But I think API is probably all still correct. Oh, interesting. I guess you can't do impl iterator if you have unimplemented. That's kind of interesting. I didn't know that. So we can instead do something like vec new into iter. And then it'll then the type system allows that. That's kind of funny. And then we had some tests we were working on yesterday. I'm just going to comment them out for now because I'm not really sure that I trust that they're testing the right thing anymore. And yeah, there we go. Oh, I guess we still needed the APIs for clear forward and clear all that we made yesterday. I shouldn't have deleted those. Yo, what's up? So let's make this a function. Clear forwards. It takes in self by mutable reference and x pause and y pause. Snowed in a ski cottage. That's kind of fun. I mean, it sucks that you're trying to go skiing and you're just fucking stuck. But at least that means that when you finally get out, the snow's going to be sick. We'll call this unload for now. And then we had another one that was clear all. Clear all. And this guy was, I think this one was easy. We just self buff clear. Does your terminal emulator compile to a WASM WASI target? It might. It just uses eGUI. eGUI supports WASM. Oh, I guess we're assuming that like we're running bash in process. So that wouldn't work, right? Because we're asking Linux to spawn a shell for us, and we're using the Linux file descriptors. But you could probably split this up correctly. It's probably not far from you could run the GUI in the web browser and have it connected to a backend running on Linux, which isn't really like a terminal in the browser, but a terminal in the browser means you need a whole operating system in the browser. So I'm assuming that if you wanted a terminal that was WASM, you probably would want, oh, I guess WASI. I forgot about WASI. WASI is, it might. I think that like you would have to do a little bit of work because I'm assuming that we have, I'm using like the Nix crate to wrap our syscalls, which is just like a libc wrapper, but I'm pretty sure you could just like swap out like the two calls that we're using there for something WASI related, and it'd probably work. Definitely something to put on the list of things to try. Okay. So, does everything run? Does everything pass? Test pass. We're chilling. Okay. So, which means that we must just not be using this camera. Oh, the tests just aren't testing everything. Okay. Okay, so when we insert data, we want to... What? What did we just talk about? We just talked about in this fancy paint diagram, how we basically need to find the location in the buffer and then pad it. So I think the first thing that we want to do is we want to like make a function that's like line indices, I think. Indices. Line start indices. And I believe that makes sense. Because then what we can do is when we need to, we could ask for like the lines. But if you were to take like a vector and split them into line chunks, you couldn't like extend any individual line because all of the future lines would move, and in like Rust you can't you can't take like sub slices that are extendable. So because we would need to be able to like modify the whole vector and like maybe like reallocate it, whatever. So I think indices makes more sense here, and I think he needs width and height to do this. And we're still going to like consider the wrapping ourselves, but we are not going to store it as the wrapped data, I guess. And so this is going to what? Click an impl iterator of item equals usize. And I guess for now, I think that later I will do this, but to keep it simple at first, we're just going to do a vector view size. But I do think that like technically you probably can get away without any allocations in here. But that's like, you know, stupid levels of optimization that like are not needed right now. Let's start with something simple. Okay. So I guess, what do we do here? We say, we look at each character, maybe? Do we? Let's think about this. Let's think. So say we were going to write a test for this. What would we expect? Because I think it's important after our experiments from yesterday to fully understand expected behavior before we start writing. I think that's where we got into a lot of trouble. So we can say test line start indices. And what is like the expected behavior? Probably it's that we have like a string that's like ASDF, new line, you know, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 or something. And if we were to try to split this line with 10 characters, we would be like line start indices of this buffer with a width of 10 and a height of 10. We would expect something like, let's see, we would expect line starts to be the same as 0, right? The line starts at the beginning of the buffer, sure. And then after 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, we should have a new thing at 4. No, 5, sorry. The new line is like included in here, in this count. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we expect a new index at 5, and then we expect another one at 15, because the width of the terminal emulator is only 15, or only 10 wide in this example. And probably we run this test and it fails because we don't fucking do anything. It doesn't even compile, but if we were to return like vec, just to make sure everything is hooked up right, we should see a failure. Bing, bang, boom. Nice. Okay. And so I guess what we're doing here is we're looking for new lines. So we're saying like buff, split by, into, iter, no, not into, iter, enumerate so that we can like keep track of the indexes. And we're looking for either we want to split by new line, or if the length is longer than 10. So I don't know if you can like easily like accumulate time in here like this. Maybe it's easier to just do this. Okay, we'll start with like the non-iterator approach. You say let mute output ret is equal to vec new ret, and you say like what, for I in for I by C, for I like index character in buff dot iter enumerate, we say if C is equal to a new line, we push I. Yep. And continue, probably. If if we've accumulated 10 characters, let chars bytes, I guess we'll call it, since new line. If we have enough of these, if bytes since new line is equal to 10, I guess we should say assert here, bytes since new line is less than or equal to 10, right? It should never get bigger than 10. And if it's equal to 10, then we push the index. And I guess every time we flag a new line, then we reset the accumulator, bytes since new line is equal to 0. And then here we increment bytes since new line. And is that it? Oh, why am I running 10? We don't know that it's 10. It should be less than or equal to width. Sorry. 10 in my head. So anything else in here like fucking stupid like that? Only hard-coded constant is 0 and 1. Okay, makes sense. Cargo test. He's not working. He's saying 4 and 15. So, right, because at the new line, this should be I plus 1. Can't the buffer contain line feeds and jump, making this a lot more complicated? Well, we are not using... We're stripping out... okay, how do I say this? The expectation at this point is that this buffer is only accumulating data that we're ready to display. So this is like we've stripped out all ANSI codes, and I expect that when we eventually support line feed, or carriage return, that's the same thing. We'll probably handle that externally as well. I think. I don't know. We'll see. And we were also missing 0, which just means that we have to push 0, which makes sense. Like the first thing in the whole buffer is definitely a new line, or the start of a line. I think that it's called, don't say sorry, like I think, yeah, I think like line feed and carriage return, I think they're the same thing. I think. If I remember correctly. Or is line feed is \n. Line feed. The code is /r, yeah. Oh, carriage return is /r, line feed is /n. Yeah. You're right. Okay. Maybe we get a little fancy here and we say the initial thing is 0. Maybe now this is right? Okay. And we should also probably test the case where you get a \n at the end of the line, at the on the boundary. Which I guess is like this. After 10 characters. 0, this is 10 here, I think. Yep. And so then we'll try it again with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, 1. Okay. So now we expect this at 5, 15, and 25. Okay, so we got 26 instead of 25. Which is correct because there was a new line in there. So this is 0, 0. What am I seeing here? Oh, I can't count the characters here because the fucking \n counts as 2. Fuck. Okay, so this is 5, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yeah, it should be 16 and 26. Nice. Oh, I didn't write. I was like, what the fuck? Why is it still failing? But it's just because I forgot to save. All right, chilling. So now we have this like way to find where the line starts are. Equals line start indices on the current buff. And we pass in width and height. I guess height isn't used, actually. So I guess we just ignore that. Okay. And when we insert data, we are inserting it at a position, a certain like XY. So we say what? Let buff pause equal to line starts, right? We have like the beginning, and we want to look at Y and then add in X. Now, here we get a little tricky because we can't just do this. If we just did this and the line was too short, we would like skip over a line. So we need to pad the line to make sure. So we actually want to do something like pad buffer for X, Y. For right position. Pad buffer for right. And we're going to write to X pause, Y pause with data. And is there anything else we should... He can compute the line starts themselves? Probably. Okay. So what we need to consider here is, say I have ASDF \n 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And we ask to write like at the this will render as ASDF 1, 2, 3, 4, and say we want to write like here, right? And we want to write it like what happens here will depend on the length of the data, right? So say that our like terminal width is like this or something. So before, we kind of have like, our data is kind of stored like this. But if we want to write like 12 here, we still need to keep the new line at the end, and we don't wrap. But if we wanted to write like 100, like, or sorry, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, now all of a sudden, I don't know what happens here. I guess we overwrite the new line. Probably. I wonder if there's a way we can test that behavior in like an existing terminal. So say we like echo right, so like something really long. And then we want to no. What are we trying to test? We're trying to test like what happens if we should overwrite a new line. Right. So if we write echo ASDF \n hello. Maybe we need to echo -e for that to work. Okay, yeah. So now we want to set the cursor back to here. So can we do like echo -e? What is like, how do I like move cursor up by number of lines? ANSI escape codes. Some of these must be cursor previous line. Nice. Moves the cursor to the beginning of line N. What lines up? So it's CSIF. So it's like 033 thing open brace, and then how many lines up? So we're gonna go up 1, 2, 3, 4 lines, followed by an F. Hello. Okay, yeah, so that did do what I expected. So now we're going to go back to echoing ASDF and hello. And this brought us to the echo ASDF and hello. So this brought us to the ASDF. And so I also want to then move the cursor forward or to a column. So I guess we'll set the like horizontal position to with 033 open brace to a specific column. So let's say we want to set it to column 1, 2, 3. This should overwrite the DF in ASDF. Nice, it did. And then at the end of this, we have to move the cursor back down so that when we print our new prompt line, it doesn't overwrite more shit. So we can say, oh, 3, 3, open brace. How we want to move the cursor down. So we want to go back maybe like 4 down. So let's see if that abomination does the right thing. It doesn't. Oh, interesting. Moving the cursor down doesn't seem to work. Oh, that's cursor forward. Cursor down is B. That's why. Okay. So ASDF, and this should be cursor down was B, not C. Okay. So now we have as hello. And oh fuck, we need to make it wider. We need to make this test wider because we can't resize that short. So let's just... Okay. Do that, and then the column now in this shit show has to change. So we want to set this to... Can I like count how many things I've selected? Fuck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 times 4 plus 2. 13 times 4 plus 2 is 54. God damn, I'm good. I was close. Okay, so the hello's there, and now I wanted to try doing that same thing, but with it wrapped. Right, so now this gets a little confusing because the hello is going to end up overrunning the new line still, but like wrapping in some way. Oh, oops. In this case, we have to go up one more column because it has wrapped, which is reasonable. Oops, even maybe 2 columns more. So this is... Go back 6 lines. Okay, so this hello did overwrite this ASDF here. And when I expand it, interesting. When I expand it, there is now still a new line at the end of the hello. So what this guy's doing is he's saying, if you, I will, he's basically saying I won't overwrite new lines. I'm pretty sure. Oh, unless the echo is putting a new line in it, we need to do echo-ne. Fuck. Okay, one more try. Oh shit. This depends on the width now. Fuck me. I think it was like something like this. It was like this. And then we want to echo-ne. Yeah, I think that's correct. I'm pretty sure that if we go back and we overwrite something, I'm pretty sure that this is just not overwriting new line. So it's keeping like, even if I extend the length of this thing by a lot, if I extend the length of this thing by writing more than just like hello, but like really just like cranking it out here. Oopsies, fuck me. We have to go up one more column, I guess. Or one more row. Go up by 7. Yeah, okay. So he's just keeping the new line no matter how much I inject in there. That makes sense. So this case now means that when we pad the buffer, we're going to say if the line exists, we will take as much data as you're fucking putting in here, and we will just keep it there. I wonder what happens if I put a new line in the middle, though. I think it's probably the same. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So we pad the buffer for right, which takes in like the buffer, the X position, Y position, and the data length. I think that makes sense. And so we're going to say what? Function pad. Oopsies, I forgot to do all of this tracking. At some point we implemented line iterator or split buffer or find indices of lines, of line starts. We did that at some point. And at some point we started working on padding buffer for insertion. Okay. Pad buffer for right. And he's going to take in a buffer, which is a vector of u8, the x and y position, y pos u size, okay, and the data length, right length, u size. And he is going to compute the line starts himself. And there's no self here, there's just buff and width. Ooh, which we also don't have, so width is another input here. Which is getting a little ridiculous for a function call, but you know, it is what it is for now. Oops, he doesn't say use us here, he just says self.width. Okay. Okay. Changes to buff, okay. So we have our line starts, and now we see where are we trying to write to. So we say line starts y pause, but this might be out of range. So if I guess we'll say something like let y is equal to something like match line starts get y. Y offset, we'll call it. Buff y, sure, we'll call it that. And if we get something, some value, we just propagate it, great. And if we didn't, we got nothing, the line doesn't exist yet, we just have to pad the buffer until that line exists. So we'll just... we know how many lines there are based off of line starts length, I guess. That's like how many lines there are currently. So we just have to add new lines for this amount. So we don't even have to do this like checking thing. We just know, right? This is how many lines there are. And for I in y pause, or line starts length to y pause, I guess this might not work. I don't know if what Rust's rules are about if this is bigger. Like if y pause is not larger than line starts length. So maybe we'll just guard this. If line starts len is less than y pause, we pad it. Pad. Buff dot push new line. And we just do this for nothing in y pause line starts len y pause. Okay. Okay, so now we have we also have to adjust the line starts, because now we have to just like push in the last index, the thing we pushed over and over again. So we push a \n, and now we want the line starts at the \n. Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, so now we have buff pause equal to line starts y, and this is actually let y offset is this. xy is empty for y is less than x. Oh, sick. So I don't have to worry about this if statement. I'll believe you, and then if it crashes later, I'll get mad at you. But appreciate it. Okay, so testing the playground. Hell yeah, baby. So this is the y offset, and then like theoretically we would just say that the buffer position is y offset plus x pause, right? But we also have to pad x. So we're going to say let line end is going to be line starts get y pause plus 1. Okay. And if the line end, if there is no next line, we just append. So we actually want to match this. Match this, and we say if it's something. If the next line exists. We are going to push, like insert a bunch of things at that index, a bunch of spaces for the entire right length. So we are going to like insert buff.insert, and we're going to insert like a bunch of spaces, I guess. Is there like an insert many? Splice, maybe? Splice sounds like a word that would be back rust. It's hurting my head too, don't worry. Don't worry. So is there like splice? Oh yeah. So we create a splicing iterator. No, that's not what I want. I want like to insert. Can I not like insert a bunch of things? Okay, whatever. We'll. Okay, so if this doesn't exist, if it does exist, we need to like pad line for right. I guess we'll just write this for now, so we don't have to think about it. And if there is nothing, then we just pad buff for right, which already exists. So I guess in the case that it doesn't exist, we just extend. We just do nothing, I guess. Yeah, do nothing. If it's at the end, don't worry about it. No padding to be done. Well, I guess we'll pad it anyways. We'll just say buff push spaces for where are we trying? I'm lost again. Fuck. It's so hard to keep all this stuff in my head. Which means that probably that I'm just writing too much code in line. So we found that we've padded y. We can now write to any y index. And now we're just trying to say we want to write to an x index now. Simple. Very, very simple. For something in x pause. Okay. How many things do we need to push? We need to find the line end. We said if we had the line end, we could say that the number of spaces that we need to append, simple, is line end minus line start is how many there are, plus x, pause, yeah, line start plus x pause is where we want it to end, and minus line end is where it currently ends. Yeah. And so then we would just say for this in 0 to number of spaces, we would insert a space at the end of the line. So we would say like buff.insert line end space. And now all we need to do is find the line end. Okay, yeah. So we can say let line end is equal to the line starts dot get y plus 1, and sum, if there's a value here, we return the value, great. And if it's none, then we return the length of the buffer. And we're chilling. This needs to be a match statement. And this needs to be dereft. And this should be y offset, not line start. swap the arguments. Okay. And then at the end of this, wait, that's not true. So this is the pad for the start, but then we also have to keep padding for the end because we're gonna try to copy the stuff we're trying to write in here after. So the end is actually let desired end is equal to y offset plus x pause plus right line. Yes, it's lining up now. This makes sense. And we can say let current end is equal, we'll call line end the current end. Yes. On Nightly, thanks for the prime, appreciate it. And so now we say the number of spaces is the desired end minus line end. And that, or current end. And that's like a piece of code that I can understand when I read it back, which is huge for me. Yeah, maybe we even say current end plus I, because there's probably some optimization in the insert of the vector that's like if you're inserting at the end, then like it's just a push. So that's probably faster. And now all we want to do is we want to say where are we going to write to? We want to return that value probably. So here we're going to say return a usize that is where in the buffer that we should copy the data to. And that is current and current. Let desired start is equal to y offset plus x pause. Yep. Then we can say desired start plus right line, and here we can return desired start. Desired start. I wonder how correct this is. So we can try doing something like function test buffer padding. So say we have a buffer is going to be like a byte string of like ASDF quote, new line ASD at 1234 new line. I don't know. Z, X, Y, W. I don't know. It doesn't fucking matter. And we are going to try to turn this into a 2vec. Okay. And we want to pad this buffer. Pad buffer for write. And so we are trying to write to this buffer. Yep. We'll call it with a width 10. And let's say that we're trying to write at the 0th line, or sorry, let's try to write to like column like 8. Column 8 in the first 0th line, and we're trying to write 10 bytes. Okay. So what we should expect to see here is that we should get 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, then a bunch more padding for the right. Yes. Yes. And so we'll say let copy index is this. And so now we can assert equal that the buffer should now be the same thing that we had here before, but with this hella padded. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. And we can assume that the copy index, we expect this to be 8. Because we are trying to write to the 8th column, and that's the first line. Okay. Cargo test. Fuck! Okay. So we definitely see a bunch of spaces here, but they're inserted on the right side of the new line. I'm pretty sure new line's 10. And so I think I think that's the only thing wrong here, is that the 10 is just on the wrong side. Which means what? When we insert spaces, we are starting at the current end. Oh, because here we have like ASDF new line 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're considering the end to be here. But then if we go backwards if we start inserting before the end, then we're actually inserting like not before the new line. And we don't know, which is also kind of fucking weird. We don't know if we've wrapped because there was a new line or because we hit the end, right? Because like if we have like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and it's a 10 wide buffer, then if we just kept going, there's no new line to like skip here. But this and this are effectively the same if our wrap width is 10. Because like either there's a new line here and that's why we skip, or it's because we like hit the edge of the buffer. Which means probably the line start indices thing probably also needs to return ends. So we should probably like return like range of view sizes here. Okay. Which is gonna fuck up all sorts of code, but that's okay. And here, instead of just pushing I plus 1, we can like maybe track the current start. Okay. And we push current start to I, in this case, right? If we found a new line, then we want that to be flagged as the end. And if we are switching because we have hit the width, I think this is the same. Ret.push current start I think. I'm not 100% sure here. Oopsies, I just typed that twice. I don't know why I did that. In this case, because at this case, we're like at the start of the next line. Yeah, we're chilling. And so then I guess on each of these guys, when we push, we just update the current start. There's some duplication here. That's okay. It's fine. Okay. So now on here, when we use this guy, we don't have to figure out the end anymore like this. We can just look at the line end. So y offset dot start, and the current end is y offset dot end. So I guess this isn't y offset anymore. We're gonna say like let line range is the. It's also no longer line starts or line start indices. This is now called line ranges. Line ranges. Yep, that seems fine. Okay, and here we say line ranges is equals line ranges, and we say for this in line ranges len, we push this, but instead of pushing this, what were we pushing before? We were pushing in the index of the new line that we pushed, and I guess the start and the end are just going to be the same. So we'll say let new line pause is equal to buff len -1. Yes, okay, and then the range is just new line pause to new line pause. Okay, and we'll say let line range is equal to line ranges y pause. Yep, cool. And now the desired start is the line range start plus the x pause. Desired end is the start plus the right length. The number of spaces that we have to insert is the line range end subtracted from the desired end, and current end is just line range dot end here now instead. I wonder. So we need to fix our test probably too. So this now needs to be 0 to 5, 5, 15, No, 0 to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. This would be 0 to 4. We skip 1 to get 5 to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yep, 5 to 15 is right. Skip 1 because of the new line. 16 to 26 and 26 to whatever here. This is 26, probably like 27 or 28. Not sure. To the end of the line. Okay, so they don't have the last line in here anymore. So let's make sure that we get that guy. So here we just have to push in ret.push current start buff line. And we only do this if buff len is greater than current start. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure. Okay. So we got the start of the next line wrong in the new line case. The current start needs to be I plus 1 in this case, because the new line is the end, but 1 past the new line is the start. Cool. Hey, and the padding function is supposedly working as well, which is pretty sick. Pretty sick. Okay, so now we should be able to say now, hey, I want to pad this buffer for right, and let the right IDX is equal to this. And then we should just be able to say self buff right IDX to right IDX plus data len. Copy from slice. Hell yeah, dude. I think that's gonna work. I think that's fucking right. We'll see though. 10x devil. Well, you missed like the whole 2 hours of yesterday where we made like 0 progress on the same problem. Right? So we're efficient today, but we were extremely inefficient yesterday. Okay. So clear forwards. What's that going to do? So he's going to look for the buffer position for this XY pause. So we have this like line ranges function, and he converts the line range into an XY. Well, your thinking process was fast. I wasn't able to follow. Yeah, well, it's kind of hard because also like, I think often, like, I think you take anybody, literally anyone, and if they're just like writing stuff, you have to like be inside their head to know what they're thinking next, and like what happens now depends on what I'm thinking and like about to write in the future. So I think it's like not fair to say that like because you couldn't follow, it's because I was too going. Like I think that's more like a communication issue on my part a lot of the time, but working on it for sure. Okay, so we need to find like the buffer position that we're trying to clear forwards from. So we can say line starts, line ranges for what are the inputs to this? Yeah, at work my coworkers already lost my navigate code really fast. Dude, that one's hard too, because you're just like, when you're watching somebody else do it, you're just like, the screen's just like flashing, and you're just like, what the fuck is going on? You're just like, you just jump through like 4 files, you're like, ah! So what this function's called line ranges. He takes in the buffer and the width, self, buff, and width, self.width, I guess. And these are the line ranges. And when we're trying to clear forwards, we just want to find the buffer position for that thing. So we're going to say line ranges into iterator, skip y pause. And this is going to be empty. So map y pause plus x pause. And so this will give us like the buffer position. But this is like without padding. So we should probably do something like check if x pause fits in the length. Oh, which is actually very doable. Yeah, because we have a range. Hell yeah. Okay. So this will give us the line range. And nth y pause. And I guess we can probably even just skip this. We don't need to do iter. We can just say get y pause. Hell yeah. I gotta learn to talk and code before I start interviewing. Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's part of why, like, when I started streaming, I was like, either I spend a year streaming and writing code and it's like fun, or it does well and I like don't have to go back to work. But if it does, like, dude, this is such fucking good interview prep. Like, holy shit. Like, just the, like, being able, like, it took like a lot of practice just to be able to be like, how do I like say what I'm thinking at a high level while typing at a low level? And like, you put me in an interview now and just like, boom, you know, it'll be way easier than before. So I definitely think it's something that can be learned, but it's fucking hard for sure without the practice. Okay. So I guess we're gonna match this, and if it's something, we return it, and if it's none, I guess we just like don't do any clearing. Right? Like if somebody's like clear from line 10 onwards, and you're like, I haven't fucking got any letters at line 10, then you can just give up. That seems reasonable. Seems reasonable. And if x pause is greater than line range.end, again, you just say like, fuck it. Return. But now you should be able to say that the clear position is going to be the start of the line plus the x position. And we should know that should be like guaranteed valid now. So we should be able to say buff dot truncate to the clear pause. Chillin'. CS Oding said the same thing. He's a streamer that does similar style streams to you. Yeah, I've definitely seen his streams. He's very talented. Smart guy for sure. Here, so the output we want to split by line. So here we just say do the same shit. We get the line ranges. Boom. And we just say line ranges into iter map range to self buff range. Easy. And that's an iterator. Chillin'. Okay. So I wonder if this just works right now. What happens if I like type cargo run? How fucked up is it? Vary. Index out of bounds. The length is 0, but the index is 0. 347. How do you come up with your stream project ideas? I mean, I think that there's just like an infinite list of software that pisses me off. And so I draw from that list often. But also there's a lot of, like, if I'm just like using my computer, I'm like, what the fuck is that? That also goes on the project list. So I think that like me specifically, I'm like driven a lot by like, one is like a desire to understand what I'm touching, and then the other one is like frustration, and my frustration threshold is like pretty low. So they come easily sometimes. Padding buffer for insertion. We kind of did that, and now I guess we're kind of still working on that to some extent. Maybe. I don't know. Fuck it. Okay. So what was I trying to do? Oh, we need to... Oh, right. Something crashed. Something crashed at land 347. So here, even though we pushed enough for the Y position, it didn't work. So this should actually be Y pause plus 1. Because we need Y pause to be indexable. Easy fix. Okay, and if I type ls, that doesn't look stupid. Clear still works. Okay, and can we just write, we had a test that we had before that was just like write to some random location. So we can do echo -e escape code open brace and go to like maybe like the 14th column and try to write hello. Hell yeah, baby! Look at that! That's sick! It works now. And can we do the same thing with like set the cursor position to somewhere arbitrary, so we can maybe set it to like maybe like the 10th column on the 9th row and write hello. Oops, I spelled that wrong. It was echo 3 open 10 semicolon 9 h hello. Oh, hell yeah, baby. Hell yeah. We got there. Okay. So, I can say at some point we also did like canvas arbitrary right testing. Should ANSI RS be 7.1 or be 7E? Currently 7D. Okay. ANSI RS 71. I don't know if I understand the question. ANSI RS 71B. Oh, line 71. Should this be 7E instead of 7D? I think it said 7 to 14. Let's double check we can check the spec. ECMA specification. Nope. We need, obviously ECMA is, fuck, 48. I want ECMA 48. I think when I was reading this, it said 7D, less than 7E, 7D inclusive, I think. But we can check. We can check. Somewhere in here. This way, I think. Control sequences. To 714. So 714 is D, I think. A is 10, so A, B, C, D, E. Fuck. 7E is right. You are right. Thanks. Huge fix. I doubt that we'll ever hit that, ever, because I think that it said in the spec also that these are like for like user-defined ANSI sequences, but I think you are right that is technically more correct. Good eye. Okay. What was I doing now? Oh, I wanted to see, I'm not sure if like the output of this guy's being handwritten. Output is never used, which is kind of odd, which makes it kind of seem like, the GUI must be getting access to the internal buffer somehow. So probably somewhere we say data. Aha, and here we just try to get a linear buffer, and instead we should get a impl iterator item equals a U8 slice. Hey, somebody gifted. Appreciate it. Thank you. Anonymous gifter. Anonymous, thank you. Okay. So now, instead of this, we say output. And this should not be an ampersand. And the found opaque type, something, cargo check. Expected and U8 found opaque type. Ah, so this is in GUI. Ah, I see. So the user of this guy is now just like, what the fuck? So he now should be saying, ooh. We probably aren't handling color tracking correctly anymore. Ooh, that's interesting. So if we export this line by line, then like the formatting data also has to be kind of split line by line, I guess. How do I want to handle this? Let's think. Maybe we just don't have to split the output. Yeah, I think we just don't have to. Because if we treat the data that comes out, we say the only times that we new line is on... Oh, the reason we were going to do that was because we didn't want to trust the GUI to get the wrapping correctly. Because that would be confusing. If like the GUI's wrapping and our internal wrapping were ever mismatched. But I think for now, I'll just ignore that problem. So we'll just delete this output function. And we will just return the buffer directly, which is a gross abstraction. What is it? Like violation of abstraction, but that's okay. And we need to make sure that when we are setting our color data now, that we know where the data was inserted. So this guy should return a usize of where he wrote. And anybody who's calling cursor to buffer position, this is just like invalid now. This is like not a real function that we can call. And these guys now just need to say let output start is equal to this. And then the color tracker can do the right thing. And this is the same thing, but for clear forwards. Oh, interesting. So clear forwards also has to return a usize, which is what did I clear? So he will return clear pause. So it's like clear forwards now says let buff pause equal this. The color tracker, we update that. And I think that's really the only things we need to handle. Here now, when we clear forwards, I guess we need to return an option usize to say, hey, we did something in this case. Here we're trying to return none when we didn't do anything. And if we actually successfully cleared, we'll return a sum. Here's what we cleared. And clear forwards will then say, if let sum buff pause is equal to this, then we update our colors. Otherwise, nothing changed. We don't have anything to worry about. Okay. You could use question mark on the option then. I only know because this is in like a loop, right? So this whole match statement is in a loop, which is kind of like a argument for each of these like sections being split out into their own functions. But with the way it is right now, I can't like return early in any of this stuff. But I think your thought is a thought that I have often and then get confused, and it's like, functions pretty good sometimes, you know? Okay. No, not there, but in clear forwards. Oh, let's see. Oh, you mean like here. Good point. Good point. Good eye. That is nicer. So what is this? Let line range is equal to line range get question mark. Nice. Function longer with a screen with a doubly nested loop. Yeah, yeah. My rule of thumb usually is functions need to be short enough that I can like read them all at once. And so I'm breaking that. But because then I see like these like big matches and I go like, well, each match is like kind of like a function, but it's not like actually like a function because like all of the scope shit from outside the match still leaks in. So woof. Okay. I think we're chilling. So now, oh, so less still will be fucking broken, because, well, one is that we have some unhandled escape sequences, but I would be interested to see if, the test case from earlier, less source main rs, like, does that pass now? That's pretty sick. That seems like it's working. There's definitely some unhandled code in here. Fuck. But I mean, it's not crashing. Less source main rs. That's definitely a lot better. Okay. So now let's try implementing the erase inline function and see if that makes anything less shitty looking. Because I think that that's probably a source of some error. So that was, I think it was K is the erase inline. ANSI something something K, erase inline. Erase is part of the line. If n is 0, clear from the cursor to the end of the line. If n is 1, clear from the cursor to the beginning of the line. If n is 2, clear the entire line. Okay. Okay, okay. So let's see. Somewhere in our ANSI parser, Well, first, I think committing here is a good idea, because I'm sure that at some point I'm going to be like, fuck, I lost some important code, so we'll just drop that in there, and I guess we will now just try to handle the K parser state. So Hij, it goes here. Speak of wild, gross nested loops. Look at this bad boy. Okay, so when we get the K, we expect n to be one of the values of 0, 1, or 2. So we expect our parameter to be a parsed parameter as usize, and we'll do the same error handling shit. We'll say invalid erase inline command if we could not get a usize out of our parameters. And then it's going to look very similar to this, actually. So the default value for this guy is 0, clear to the end. So we'll say 0 is clear line forwards. If n is 1, it's clear line backwards. And if it's 2, it's clear entire screen. Oh, that's where it's displayed. Shit. Clear 2 is clear entire line. 2 is terminal output. Clear entire line. Clear line, maybe let's call it. And anything else is invalid. Okay. Okay, so now we just need to add in these like clear line forwards, clear line backwards, and clear line. And now somebody uses this guy, which is just here. So we're going to add support for clear line forwards. And I guess this is going to do something like self canvas clear line forwards. That seems reasonable. And he's going to clear from the cursor position, probably. Okay. And then what's going to happen is that's going to delete some stuff, which means that the color tracker is going to have to delete some stuff. I guess. Fix me clear colors. I guess maybe not, right? Like if we clear the line forwards by replacing all of the stuff in there with spaces, which might not be technically correct, but might be correct enough. Maybe that's fine. Maybe we should also make sure to delete any formatting in that area in case like they had like background black or something. So even if you show spaces, they would like look like they were gone. Sure. Yeah, sure. I guess that seems fine. Okay, so we need to implement this like clear line forwards. You take an X pause, a Y pause, and returns an option of like a range usize. Like, what did I clear? What do you need to like heal in your color state? So he does the same shit where he. Oh, I guess we don't have to do this fix me anymore. That's gone. So we have the line range here. And if x pause greater than line range dot end, we return none. We can do anything. And then what do? We say like let clear range is equal to line range start plus x pause to line range dot end. Yep, and we just say self buff in the clear range. fill with spaces. That's the easiest way to keep everything else working okay. I think. Okay. And I guess we should test that. So, fix me unit test. And I guess I was about to do a manual test, but we might as well just do a proper test here. If it's easy. We can do something like test canvas over clear forward. And we're gonna have like some buffer. Okay, and we are just going to say oh, so you need to say canvas is canvas new. And we need to push this stuff in. So we say, what is it? Canvas dot insert data at 0, 0 with like this shit. Okay. Say the canvas is 10 by 10. I don't give a shit. Doesn't really matter. And then we can say canvas clear forwards at like x2, y1. And canvas.buff should now equal to the same thing. Whatever we wrote here, hello. There we go. But with 3, 4 deleted. Cargo test. Do we compile right now? No. Because we didn't handle all of these guys. Clear forwards. We want clear backwards and clear line. Nope, not clear back. No, clear line backwards. Yeah. Clear line backwards and clear line. So let cleared range is equal to this if let sum r is equal to cleared range. Self color tracker push range. With the cursor state from R, something like this. I don't know. Maybe we don't want cursor state. I don't know what clearing. I'm just gonna not do this. I'm not really sure. I think that replacing the space is fine for now. And someone in the future, if we ever look at background colors, then we can handle this shit. Deal with it later. So we'll just patch this code to not return none. So I don't want to worry about it. Just don't fucking care. This guy goes here. Okay. And this guy's like this. Boom. Okay. Unimplementable right here so that I can run my unit tests. And it didn't work. Clear line forward. Did I just do something like fucking stupid? I filled the clear range. Oh, right, because I don't actually delete it. So my test shouldn't be that I get 1, 2 new line. It should be able to get 1, 2 space new line. Because I don't delete them, I just fill them with spaces. And that's not what happened. Clear forwards 2, 1. Let's make sure that here, before I do anything, just like inserting that data work. It should, but left, right. Oh, so there's a new line here for some reason. Okay, that's weird. I didn't expect that. Oh, because I pad the new lines. Right. And then here, I expect this now. I think. But he's still not right. So the left, he's actually truncated like a fuck ton. Because this is wrong clear line forwards. That's, of course. So I was just calling the wrong function. It wasn't doing the right thing. Shocker. Shocker, shocker, shocker. There we go. Okay, so that's working. And so now we can try to run less again and see if it might be using some of those other unimplemented versions, so we might have to deal with them. So we're gonna say less source main rs, and looks like we're chilling. Okay, Q. There's no new line at the end, which is kind of weird. But I am seeing some like unhandled escape sequences again. So it's less source. Well, let's clear. Fuck. Clear. Let's look at source terminal emulator rs. So nothing's fucking happening, which is weird. Oh, no such file or directory. Less source. Oh, terminal emulator mod rs. There we go. And he's panicking at 343. Ooh, because the number of spaces is negative in this buffer padding. If the desired end is less than the range end. Oh. So here we need to do like if desired end is greater than line range dot end, then we subtract. Otherwise, we do nothing. Otherwise, there are no spaces to insert if it already fits. Less source. Fuck. Less source. Terminal emulator mod rs. Fuck. Less source. Fuck. Less source terminal emulator. I'm gonna lose it. Clear. Less source terminal emulator mod rs. There we go. That's not that wrong. That was like almost working. Less source terminal emulator mod rs. So here I like hit down and I get some stuff. I hit up and I get some stuff. There's definitely something wrong with like the first column being kind of fucked up. But there's also unhandled escape sequence everywhere with a big capital M. What is that guy? Big M, big M. A, B, C, F, G, H, I, J, K, L. I don't see it on here. So maybe we look at the actual specification again. And we want to look at whichever one of these guys is M, but we need to look for, we need to convert capital M into this guy. So we have him as 4D, so that's 04, A is 10, B, C, D, so 13. So we're looking for 04, 13. Delete line. Okay. So if the device component select mode, blah, 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 blah. Nothing. Okay. Tell me what this does. Causes the contents of the n-1 preceding or following lines to be removed from presentation component, where n equals the value of pn. The resulting gap is closed by shifting the contents of a number of adjacent lines towards the active line. At the other end of the shifted part, n lines are put into the erased state. Okay. The active presentation position is moved to the line home position in the active line. The line home position is established by a parameter value of set line home. Jesus Christ. So we can say we implemented erase and line, and now we're looking at implementing delete line, and this is at maybe like 2900 or something. Implement delete line. If the device component select mode is set to presentation, I don't know what this means, but we'll ignore it. Is there... Oh, if it's set to data, delete line causes the contents of the active line, and depending on the setting of line editing mode VEM, the contents of the n-1 or following lines to be removed from the contents of the n-1 preceding or following lines to be removed from the data component where n equals the value of pn. So does that mean that n could be negative? It does say dependent on the line editing mode thing. Preceding or following lines to be removed from the presentation component where n equals the value of pn. The resulting gap is closed by shifting the contents, blah, blah, blah. And if we're in data mode, the resulting gap is closed by shifting. It seems like it's like the same shit. Okay. Okay. So I guess the parameter default value is 1. And I guess we just try it and we see what happens to confirm our understanding. So if we say like echo-n or echo-e 033 open brace, then this is like say we delete -1. We want to delete the previous line. And then this was a big M. Can I do like -3? No. Okay, what if I do like 1M? That's not going to do anything because I have to like maybe go into a specific position first. So we're going to like maybe try to go back 2 lines. Okay, so we go back 2 lines and we write ASDF. Go back 3 lines and we write ASDF. Okay, and then we go forwards 2 lines again. Wait, was it F was go back 2 lines? I already forgot. Previous line, and then we do just move down a bunch after. Okay, so now I want to try also issuing like a delete line, which was just delete a line somewhere with an M. Oh, okay. So that did something. So if I say like delete 2 lines forward, 4 lines forward, okay. What about like -1? -2. So it looks like that's not doing shit. I'm not sure. I'm not really sure what that delete is doing. So if I say, please delete the next line, that should delete the echo, the line that's typing the echo, which it doesn't. But it does delete the line I'm on. It does delete like the whole... Oopsies, 1M, 2M. Okay, I don't really understand it, for sure. It's not really behaving in a way that I would find consistent with what I read. Okay, I think I don't understand this well enough to do it right now. So I think I'm going to call it there and do some reading off stream because I think it's probably going to be boring for me to just stare at this data sheet or specification and try to figure out what the fuck is going on. So I think we'll come back tomorrow with an attempt at continuing on with this less stuff. But we did make pretty good progress today. Like the case of writing like go to a cursor position that we like haven't seen yet, right? If I go to like 10, 10, and write like hello. Oops, I forgot to echo -e. 10, 10, h, hello. right? Like this used to crash it, and now it's working like very well, which is pretty sick. And it doesn't seem like we've really broken anything major. Oops, that doesn't work because it runs in less. But if we go pager equals cat get log dash n1, right? It doesn't look like we've like majorly broke anything here. It looks like it's working okay. And like we are a lot closer. So if I type like get log, this is like a lot closer to looking like something than it was before. Like, oh fuck, get log dash n1. Like it doesn't look like amazing, but like we can kind of see the pieces of less in here, right? We can see like this stuff up here and this like these like less tildes and whatever. Like it's a lot closer. It's not great, but it's closer. So pretty happy there. Thanks for watching, guys. If you liked what you saw, I stream most days at around 1 or 2 o'clock Pacific time for around like 1 or 2 hours. We're working on this terminal emulator right now, but like we try to cover a variety of topics. So we've done some like operating systems, some AI, some like web dev, like 3D, right? We're trying to like basically whatever I feel like I'm interested in at a given point in time, that's what we end up working on. If you miss a stream, there's a YouTube link in the Twitch description where all the VODs go up, usually same day. There's a GitHub link where the code goes up in like a slightly better form than you see it on stream, right? So you see me like committing stuff like checkpoint, end of stream, like this stuff goes away and turns into like real commits, and those get pushed onto GitHub, so there's a link for that as well. And there's a Discord link in the Twitch description as well for if you want. I have like an announcement channel in there where I post when VODs go up and when I'm going to be streaming like an hour or two ahead of time, as well as like if you want to chat about shit offline, like there's a general chat that you could chat in. I don't know how active it is, but you could. Otherwise, I guess if you're on YouTube, swing by on Twitch, come say hi. Otherwise, I think that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.